Hey everyone, I got a really exciting show for you today, especially if you're a beginner, if you're interested and you're excited about this. I'm bringing back a guest who was on this channel probably a year, maybe even a year and a half ago. He's a real estate agent in Fresno, part of my network that we've done deals together. But most importantly, he's gone from learning the first year to just crushing it in the second year. And I need everybody to hear that if you're willing to put in the work, you will have success. So let's welcome Scott Farrow to the channel. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back on. I'm excited.
Oh, you have no idea how much this interview will mean to some people. Scott, just in case they haven't watched your original interview, remind people how you start your real estate journey a couple of years ago. What were you doing before you got into this crazy world of real estate?
Yeah, so before I even knew what real estate was, I was in school going to Fresno State, Fresno City. I was working as a barista part-time, and so I decided school wasn't a good option. I moved to full-time as a barista. I actually really enjoyed selling coffee, but I knew it wasn't where I was going to be long-term. So I met an agent in town, Benny Clay. He's an investor and an agent. He helped introduce me to the world of real estate, and then from there, I joined a real estate team, and I've been there for 2.5 years.
Yeah, so let's set that up. So again, you're a full-time barista. You've decided college isn't for you. A gentleman named Benny Clay, who's been on this channel many times. He's always on the channel for me to talk about the numbers and metrics, so the folks will know the name. But he comes in probably routinely, right? You probably hear him talking on the phone. You hear him, commiserating, maybe meeting investors at the table, and you kind of pick up on it, right? I'm guessing how that's the relationship, how it started.
How it really started was I was doing the resale side, and I saw one of the checks that he and Jason got for an investment deal I helped sell. And I thought I was making it out good, and I made like $3,000 and they made a lot more than that. And so I thought to myself, like, why am I doing that? And they said the same thing. So I got into investing kind of through seeing what they're doing and seeing how other people are making money in that field.
Very, very cool. All right.
Yeah.
So you joined the team. And again, your first interview on the channel really talked about the struggle, right? You were
Yeah.
learning, you were making a name for themselves. Why don't you just real quick summarize kind of that first year?
First year was really fun. Like, because it's a brand new job,
Hmm.
brand new people. I made a lot of new friends. That was the fun part of it. It was a lot of really hard work, and it was really humbling. So one of the things that I learned, like in the first year, is that the overnight success story is a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And so I started putting in the 14-hour, 15-hour days. I saw the no check coming back for that hourly pay,
Hmm.
which I was used to. It was a lot of mind shifts. So understanding that just because I was 21 or 20, it was something that I could do still, and it wasn't going to be, it wasn't something that was unattainable. So making the mind shifts and seeing, age isn't the problem here,
Hmm.
knowledge isn't the problem here. It's only if I'm going to put in the work and I'm going to listen to the people that are teaching me.
Right.
So it was really humbling. It kind of put me back in my spot because I was doing pretty well in school. I was doing pretty well as a barista. And so kind of resetting that for me. And then honestly, it taught me a lot just about like how the business worked.
Hmm.
So I spent more time educating than I've ever done in my whole life in that first year.
Yeah. And we got connected. Would you say we got connected? You were still in that first year, right? When we got connected the
Oh
first time?
yeah, so you and I really linked up. It was towards the end of the first 6 months of
Okay.
me being an agent.
Yeah.
So yeah, you met me right at the start. I had been working in the industry for a year,
Right.
almost a year, but I was working as an assistant, as an
Right.
admin, a designer, not really like an investor, but you and I really linked up
Yeah.
about 6 months in.
Yeah, what I would remember from that 6 months, and again, doing what I do, I get the luxury of meeting lots of people. What I saw in you very early on is someone that was willing to do the work. You weren't, like you said earlier, right? You didn't have the overnight success attitude. You didn't come across as someone who just thought it was going to fall in their lap. You were very much willing to do the work. And what I found most interesting about you is you were always asking questions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's not normal.
You have to ask questions. One of the things is like, now I'm in a spot where I know like the base level pretty well. And
Hmm.
so I have a lot of conversations with people my age or investors at my level or
Yep.
learning.
Yep.
And one of the things that I always tell them is go listen to more podcasts, go do more, because if you think I'm educated, you are
Yeah.
very wrong. Like there is so much to learn.
Yeah.
And so asking questions, even now, and even people that have been doing it for 20 years, ask questions every day.
Ask questions all the time. The other thing that I saw in you is you made what I call a pretty tough decision. I actually don't remember when it was, but this is when you went and got a job at Ruth's Chris in the evenings, right?
Yeah, that was really hard.
Yeah, you weren't seeing the checks, but you still had bills to pay, right? That's a conundrum that a lot of people are in, right? Whether you're a real estate agent or a real estate investor or a wholesaler or a flipper, or checks can be few and far between, especially in the beginning. It could be 6, 9, 12 months before you see anything. When did you make that choice? Let's say you've been in this 2 years. When did you go, you know what? I need to get a little bit of an income coming in. I'm going to go work at Ruth's Chris. When was that?
It was a year ago, 2 months ago. So I got my first shift the week after 4th of July.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
And it'd taken me a month to get the job. There were 4 interviews. I'd been thinking about it for over a month at that point.
Yeah.
And really what it was a mix of a money problem, so an earning problem, which everybody has at the start. Yeah. And really more importantly, and something that you and I talked about a couple of times, it was a spending problem.
Yeah.
I was spending money at the same speed I was earning it. So, you'd make a $2,000 check and, less than a month later, it's gone. Right. So that was really the big problem.
Yeah, because you had big goals. I remember talking to you before. I remember talking to you the week before you actually started, or maybe you accepted. I forget where it was, but it was really close to that. And it was a spending problem, right? You had big dreams and goals. You were talking about buying something and house hacking and doing all these things, but there was just nothing left over. And
right.
And again, that was a very mature decision, and probably for some people it would have defeated them. Right? They would have felt like a failure and beaten themselves up in. And I never saw that in you. You saw it as a cost of doing business. You still kept your dreams and ambition. It didn't get in the way, right? You didn't take extra shifts. You didn't cut out real estate to go back to being full-time or anything.
Right.
Which you could have, right? You could have got addicted to the tips and all these other things. And
oh yeah, it's good money.
Slipped right back into it. So I was really proud of you. The other thing we got to talk about is you only had that job, 6 months?
Yeah, started right after 4th of July. Last week, I remember, was 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah, so not even 6 months. So 5 months. Not
even.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And again, that is because you kept at it, and then you started to see the returns in your time. So you're in the Ruth's Chris job. You start doing more and more things. When did you start to really feel the momentum coming where you could actually start to see, I'm going to quit Ruth's Chris soon?
Okay, so what led to it was the beginning of 2019. I didn't make almost any paychecks. I made like 3 before May.
Okay.
And that's just not enough in this business. And so July comes around, I get the Ruth's Chris job. At that point, I closed 2 deals in July. Mm-hmm. And right away, I think to myself, like, am I making a mistake? But I had to have multiple conversations with other people. Like, no, you got to do this because you're behind.
Yes.
And so at that point, I knew I had to grow my savings. I had to grow my, investings in that. So I made a commitment to myself that as soon as I had 6 months of consistency, I would get out. Okay. Because one of the things that I feared was just becoming content with the paycheck. Just like you said, it was an extra $3,000 every month. Yeah. And it was an easy $3,000. And so then it was going down that line. By the end of the year, I was closing consistently still. And I had done, a flip, and I had done some wholesaling. So I was at that point, okay, I can do this.
Right.
I made some changes in the business. So I was doing more follow-up and things like that. So it wasn't just oh, you get this extra job, it just starts working.
Yeah. But
I was becoming more efficient with my time at work because I didn't have 14 hours. Yeah. I had 12. I had 10. I had 8. So that was part of it. And then when I hit probably early November, I was like, holy cow, I don't have to work the Christmas season if I'm smart about this. Nice. And then I worked Thanksgiving, and it was probably the worst shift I'd ever worked. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be here for Christmas. What do I need to do?
Nice.
So at that point, I cut spending, cut everything, really leaned out. And then I put in my notice.
Yeah, there's so much in that 5 months. Again, I go back to that decision. You know what? I got to go get a job. You find Ruth's Chris. It's putting $3,000 in your pocket every month, which is dependable, right? Which again, people can get hooked on.
Every 2 weeks, I had $1,500.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. And then what you did is, again, this is you're mature beyond your years. I've told you that before, but I wanted it recorded so you can make it your ringtone. You evaluated your business and you used your time better, right? It's not always about working harder. In fact, it very rarely is. It's about working smarter.
Yeah.
Right. The more follow-up. And then the other thing I loved what you went through in that story that I actually didn't know is by the time Christmas rolls around, you have proven to yourself that you can close deals as an agent, you can be a part of a flip, and you can wholesale. So you are right there, becoming the Swiss Army knife, right? You can take a lead, and now you have multiple ways to exit that lead. Lots of people come into this business at 22, and all they can do is take a lead and go make it a listing. Right? That's interesting, but it's not everything, right? You now can take a lead and figure out which way to disposition it. And a lot of that goes to Benny and Jason for helping you see that clearly.
Yeah, there's a lot of coaching.
So what would you tell now? So now we fast forward, you quit before Christmas. It's now August. What has 2020 been like for you?
A whirlwind. It's kind of crazy. So it's been really awesome. I'll just start with that. In the beginning of the year, I made more in the first 4 months than I had made all last year, which was absolutely amazing. And I took that into kind of like, what do I want to do with this? And so I set some goals on long-term investments. I set some goals on profit margins. And then this year I've really gone from how do I make it to how do I crush it?
Nice.
The first step is like, how do I get past bare, minimum?
Yeah.
The next step is then like, how do I increase the experience for my clients and all that? And I spent this year really learning how to do that and make that really awesome.
Very cool. So have you made 6 figures already this year, middle of August?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I broke that earlier this year.
Wow. So going from a barista to 6 figures in real estate investing, that is quite the success, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what does crush it look like? Because I would tell you making $100,000 a year is crushing it. What's crushing it for Scott?
$250,000, and then next year $500,000, and then the next year $1 million. So I set goals. I set some pretty big goals when I first met you. I told you I wanted to make $1 million before I turned 25.
Yep.
I want to have 100 rentals before I'm 30 and things like that.
Yeah.
I haven't changed those. I've tried to make them more specific.
Yep.
So I've broken down each year. So this year I'm shooting for $250,000. I'm a little behind right now, but the goal is still there and I've still got plenty of time.
Yeah.
So doing that, and then I'm buying my first rentals. So I close on them on Monday.
Tell me about that. That is awesome.
Yeah. So I'm buying 4 houses with my partner, Cade, in Indiana. And so I spent my mornings for the last 2 months coming in early, 6:30, working from 6:30 to 8 to identify a market that made sense, identify a broker, identify a property manager, find properties, make offers, lock them up, and close.
Nice.
So I'm finally getting to close on those. And they don't cash flow perfect at the start because I'm using the private money loan, but once I refinance out, it's going to be, pretty darn close to $1,000 a month.
Woohoo! Man, you're going to become a landlord too. Geez, just totally diversifying yourself. That's pretty awesome. What were the big, so let's talk to the 20-year-old who is you at the beginning, right? You're a full-time barista. You don't have the luxury of Benny or Jason coming in to have coffee, but you got the itch. What are some things you would tell them?
Listen to this podcast.
How sweet of you.
It's true. So I was introduced to you because I went to a meetup.
Yep. I remember that.
Network is your net worth. So start putting yourself around high producers. You interview a lot of really high net worth individuals. I'm lucky I even made it onto this small list of people that's at the lower rung. But I've seen some really impressive people come on the podcast. So go to local meetups, and ultimately like start taking massive action. I meet with a lot of kids my age, and I say kids, not derogatory, but because I call myself a kid.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you're younger than my daughter, so you're always going to be a kid, just so you know.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I'm totally fine with that because it makes my expectation a lot lower. So I'll exceed that. And so a lot of people will meet with me. I meet with probably 2 people a week about getting into the business, and they all ask the same questions. And it always comes down to they know too much and they aren't working towards it yet. So they're overeducating.
Yeah.
So if you're not overeducated yet, start educating through the podcast. But then if you're educated, put action behind what you want to do.
Yeah. And what I would tell folks, again, just thinking about this interview we've had together, is I love the idea of massive action in the beginning, 14-hour days, just go, go, go. But at some point, and again, I'm talking to the 20-year-olds where time is on their side, right? At some point, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 9 months in, you got to self-evaluate and start getting smarter, because you can't keep doing the 48 hours without getting smarter. Sometimes just a massive execution it gets the wave of momentum going, but you do got to start to refine it at some time, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And so that's why you continue to learn and educate. So one of the things that I've been doing is I've been working like, over 60-hour weeks for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Each week I have a one-on-one with Benny and Jason. And each week I ask them a new way to refine my business. I know what I need to do to make business. I know how to generate. I ask them, what's the best way to generate? So I continue to refine that level of understanding. And then I start getting to points where I start asking, what does the finance side look like? How do I do this? How do I have the conversations with these people? But one of the things that is really hard to do is it's hard for them to give me that kind of way of leaning out and making things look right if they don't have a block to work with, right?
Yeah.
You have to have the stone to work with to sculpt a beautiful sculpture. So you got to have that massive action, and we can refine from there.
Yeah. The other thing that I see in a lot of younger folks, and I did not see in you, so realize this is not pointed at you, but I get a lot of people saying, hey, can I take you to coffee, lunch, whatever. And they expect me to give them, they expect me to drop an easy button right in front of them. And then when I leave, when did I make that promise? Where does I don't even have an easy button. Why do you think an easy button is coming from me? That is very frustrating because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. It does exist. I found it.
You did?
Jason posted it on his story the other day.
Okay.
It's hard work. That's it.
The easy button is hard work.
I've been looking for the get deals quick button on my dashboard, and I keep looking past the work hard for it. And then I keep looking for what's a quick way? What's a shortcut? At the end of the day, this business isn't that hard. It requires hard work, and it requires time to refine your business. But the more you work hard and the better you refine your business, it doesn't get hard. It becomes easier.
Yes, I agree with that. It is hard work. Yeah, and the harder I work, the luckier I get is another saying that I've
Right.
seen.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And again, I want to go back to that point because one of the things I saw from you right in the meetup, you were the last person to leave, so you let everybody come up and shake my hand and get a book and all that nonsense, and you waited to be last because you wanted to have a conversation. Right. And not only did we have a conversation, which lots of people have done in the past, but you followed up with me the next day or the day after. That's where I'm like, oh, this kid's different. Right. Because I talked to, I don't know, at that meetup in Fresno, probably 15 or 20 people. Yeah, there were a couple hundred
people that showed up.
But 20 people met me after, and you were the only one to follow up. Everybody got a business card. Everybody, had 30 or 45 seconds with me. You had a couple of minutes, but you were the only one to follow up. And that's when I knew you were going to be different.
And then we wrote 83 offers and we continued to work towards getting a deal. We spent a lot of time on the phone analyzing deals.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, we got very efficient at writing offers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it took me 10 seconds to write an offer at that point.
Yeah. It's like ting, 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 ting. That's awesome. So any closing comments as we close this one out? I'm so proud of you, by the way.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's if you're interested in it, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to be a resource here locally for people who are in the Fresno market and Clovis market. I've got a podcast I'm starting season 2 on. Michael's going to be on it as the grand finale for season 2. So it's going to be talking about a lot of the things that I had to learn over the last 2 years. It's
Awesome.
with my partner, Cade. We're going to have a lot of really good info from how to lead gen and understanding how to pick a business, things of that sort. So feel free to tune in. It's called Pursuit of Property Podcast.
Very cool. And then how would you like them to reach out to you, Scott, if they have interest in buying, investing, selling something in Fresno, Clovis, Madera?
Yeah, anything in Fresno, you can reach out to me on Facebook under Scott Farrow, email scott@theclaysongroup.com, or phone 559-430-4462.
Very good. One more time on the phone number, a little slower.
Yep, 559-430-4462.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Scott. This has been a lot of fun. Congrats on your success. And I have no doubt that you will get to that 250 number by the end of the year. Congratulations.
I don't either. Perfect. We'll talk soon.
You got it. Bye.
Thanks, Michael.